24 hours ago, I thought the Mariners played what was probably from start to finish their most complete game of the year. And they go from that to playing probably their from start to finish worst baseball game of the year. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome in to the Seattle Mariners postgame recap. Mariners get shut out tonight by the Nationals 9-0. They fall to 30-24 on the season. They do remain in first place in the American League West, but I may not be saying that tomorrow. We'll see how tomorrow goes. As always, before I go any further, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you are new or lurking, closing in on 5,000, and comment your thoughts on the team and the game down below. Just to give you an idea of how down bad I was during this game and how frustrating it was. You guys ever go into the pantry for a late night snack, after dinner, you gotta have a little something. Well, we're in one of those in-between grocery phases, like where you're getting your groceries tomorrow, so the kitchen is bare. This is what I ate for a snack. Plain Fritos. That's bad. I mean, if you like them, God bless. I'm not hating or anything, but that's how bad this game was. I sat there and ate a bag of plain, not chili cheese, not the flavor twist, plain Fritos. I think that's perfectly sums up the game tonight. Let's get into the scoring recap. If you're a Nationals fan, enjoy the next minute of me talking about this. Top of the second, Luis Garcia Jr. homers on a line drive to center field. That made it 1-0 Nationals. In the same inning, Josh Bell homered on a fly ball to left field. That made it 2-0 Nationals. In the top of the fourth, Robert Hassel III singled on a line drive to left field. Luis Garcia scored. That made it 3-0 Nationals. In the same inning, Jose Tena doubled on a line drive to left field. Josh Bell scored and Robert Hassel scored. Made it 5-0 Nationals. In the top of the fifth, James Wood homered on a fly ball to right center field. That made it 6-0 Nationals. That may have been the most titanic home run I've seen. I know there's been some, but that was up there. That was probably a top 10 in T-Mobile Park in terms of distance home run that I've seen. I'm not sure what the final distance was, but that thing was crushed. Top of the eighth, Robert Hassel III homered on a fly ball to center field, made it 7-0 Nationals. And then James Wood doubled on a sharp line drive to center field that scored Dalen Lyle and C.J. Abrams and made it 9-0 Nationals. And that was your final score. 2 starts from George Kirby, where he has not been sharp. Sometimes coming back, it does take time for sure. I'm not going to cast anybody aside for 2 bad starts, but you do see some of the flaws in George Kirby's game in these last 2 starts when, his biggest strength. I mean, listen, the guy throws 97, 98, so it's not his only strength, but his biggest strength is that he is in the strike zone. And it's a great skill to have because the more strikes throw, it's going to help you, right? But we do see where it's trouble putting teams away. The pitch that he threw to Garcia was awful, right down the pipe. Too many of those, and you see the long ball coming and then not being able to put guys away. Now, Kirby can get strikeouts. It's not, certain pitchers that, just have no ability to put guys away, but you do see the downside of it the downside of George Kirby's game. Sometimes we've seen it the last 2 outings. There's moments where you go, hey, he looks really good here. Even the third or the fourth inning, the fourth when the Nationals scored the 3 runs, 2 quick outs, looked like, hey, Kirby's going to be through 4, having given up 2 runs, get 1 or 2 more innings, and he got a quality start here. But then just stuff with 2 outs, the walk, not Kirby-like there, but then a couple hits fall in. It's just, we've seen it with Kirby, right? We had a lot of games last year. I shouldn't say it's not a lot, but a few where I remember that game against the Tigers when Tarek Skubal was on the mound where they lost 11-0 and just hit after hit after hit after hit. And unfortunately, we've seen that from Kirby a few times over his career. Now, every pitcher has those, but Kirby seems to be way more susceptible. And I think it's just, I've talked about it before because he is in the strike zone so much, but I don't think he necessarily has the stuff to work outside the zone a ton. I'm not saying his stuff is bad by any means. George Kirby's a really good pitcher. I think he's going to be fine, but it is fair to discuss that he wasn't great statistically in Tacoma on his rehab starts. Now, I don't think rehab starts, you're always looking for results. You're just looking for getting the guy through it. Sometimes I think pitchers, let's say Logan's going to make his rehab start tomorrow, right? Maybe he doesn't have a great feel for his splitter and he just throws that 50 times, something like that, just to get just to get that feel right. So that may have been the case with Kirby, and it just led to some hits being given up. But it is frustrating now that we've seen 2 starts from him, and neither has been particularly good. I was a little bit more forgiving of it last time. It was his first start. I thought there were some signs that he looked fine, and I wasn't too worried. Again, today doesn't make me worried overall. I'm 95%, 99% sure George Kirby is going to be just fine, and the pitcher that we've seen. But definitely frustrating here to come back. And then, you had Logan Evans, who was sent down after yesterday's performance, which makes sense. They're not going with the 6-man rotation. Evans pitched yesterday, so, logically, there's no purpose to him on the roster right now. And Jackson Kowar comes up and looked good in his inning of work. But it's got to be, it just kind of, I'm not going to say it sends the wrong message, but you see what Logan Evans did yesterday. And one of the reasons he's been sent down, obviously Bryce Miller's coming back. Logan Gilbert's on his rehab assignment and George Kirby's back. So, but then you see George Kirby go out and pitch like he did today, and it just kind of makes you go, well, glad Logan Evans paid the price for this after his outing yesterday. Listen, don't have a problem with those roster decisions. I would say Kirby going forward is probably the better bet than Evans. But it just kind of, just makes you go, that stinks a little bit. So Kirby not sharp at all today. Like I said, that home run that James Wood hit was absolutely tattooed, and we've just seen that too often from Kirby. He has got to be better. I sat here for the last few weeks and said, you need Logan Gilbert, you need George Kirby back, you need 2 of the best starters in the American League back. And so far, George Kirby has made 2 starts, and they've been not good. Now, coming off the IL, it might take some time, but so no panic or anything there, but just frustrating. And then the offense just awful, right? I mean, for the first couple innings, they hit some balls hard that were outs, and you felt like, okay, we'll get some off Trevor Williams. Kirby can keep the Nationals to 2 or 3, should be okay. But then Kirby gives up the 5-6 runs, and then the bats do what we've seen the Mariners do in the past. It feels like a trend for them a lot, right? And this is just over the last few years where they start out hitting some balls well, and you go, okay, they were outs, but I feel pretty good. You're going to get some runs up there. And then the at-bats just go downhill. I think I talked about this a lot. Instead of the production matching, the results matching the production starts matching the results a little bit. So, you're hitting the ball hard first couple innings. You go, okay, that's going to pay off for you. No, instead the Mariners just start going, oh, we didn't score runs, and just fall down kind of the rabbit hole of not scoring at all. So it's extremely frustrating. Now, when you get down 5-6 nothings, I'm sure guys start to press a lot more, and you're up there, trying to hit the 5-run home run. But it does stink that a game, down even 5-6 nothing against a pitcher in Trevor Williams, who's not been great this year by any means, and that's probably me being kind, that you couldn't at least scratch out maybe 2 or 3, make the Nationals use the back end of their bullpen, something like that, just to give you a chance, right? Give yourself a chance late in these ball games. Get a bloop and a blast where, hey, now if you load up the bases, you got the tying run coming to the plate. Listen, I know they're out there trying, and, I'm not trying to lecture from my seat here and say, oh, why couldn't you just get hits? But it does seem like it happens to this team. And now these losses are happening a little bit more. These kind of games where the turn off the TV, if you're a sane person, you turned off the TV in the 5th inning on a game like this. And it's starting to happen a lot more. We saw it on Thursday against Houston. Now, the Saturday, Sunday losses against Houston were super frustrating, but they were not, anything like, at least they were competitive baseball games. And, in April, when they'd have something like this and they were playing really well, it's easy to forgive it, right? Because I'm sure people are tired of me saying this. These games do happen. They do. But now it's just, I'm saying that too much now, right? It's becoming more of a statement that's every other night. Hey, these games happen. These games happen. These games happen. When you're 18-6 over a 24-game stretch, it's easier to dismiss a loss. As, of course, right? It's baseball. But when you start to get in a trend here where it just feels like, not that the wheels are coming off, but it just kind of feels like the Mariners were riding their bikes down this smooth road. Everything was perfect. The scenery was nice, and you had just the smoothest ride ever. Now they're going uphill on some dirt and rocks, right? The dirt's hitting their face. The bike tires aren't flat. They're still there, but man, they just feel like they're fighting it. It's at one of those points where the wins kind of feel like, okay, we got one, not expected. And now tomorrow you go into a series finale going up against one of the best pitchers in the National League in Mackenzie Gore, who I think leads the league in strikeouts and has been outstanding. Mariners have beaten some good pitchers this year, so it's certainly not impossible. But this Nationals lineup with Abrams, Lowe, Bell, Wood is a lineup that could do some damage against Emerson Hancock. So, and then you got the Twins coming in for 3, and the Twins have always been a team, or is it for 4? Tomorrow, Friday? No, it's for 3. Twins have always been a team that I feel like historically has come into T-Mobile and won. If I'm wrong on that, I don't remember the last time the Mariners beat the Twins in a series in Seattle. It feels like it's been a while. It feels like that's a team the Mariners always struggle with. And then Baltimore is struggling, but it's still a team that is dangerous enough. So I talked about this being a bit of a tricky homestand. I thought for the Mariners, kind of a sneaky, tricky one. It's teams they've always seemed to struggle against. Now, historical matchups don't always matter. The National struggles is very small sample size. But, you're on the verge where you're probably the underdog tomorrow. I haven't looked at the odds. I don't really pay attention too much to it in baseball. But with Mackenzie Gore on the mound, you are probably the underdog tomorrow in this game. Nothing's set in stone. Mariners could win, but there's a decent chance here you're going to lose this series. Then you got to bounce back against a Minnesota team, and I think you do miss Pablo Lopez in that series. But it's a team that's playing great ball, and like I said, always seems to come in here and give you trouble. And I think the analogy with the bike is the best I can give. I certainly don't think it's time to panic or anything like that. I don't think anybody should be going, oh my gosh. But it's certainly time to realize that, the shine is worn off from what we saw in April. The offense has regressed to, that kind of 18 to 20th range that we've been used to. Overall numbers still matter, and overall they're still good. You shouldn't dismiss the good months either and just look at the bad. And the team still isn't spiraled out of control, right? They're still, you go back to their last 12 games, they are 7-5. It's kind of a weird stretch, right? Because if you look at it like that, it's that's actually fine. But that series against Houston just kind of left a bad taste in our mouths. In a series that we all would have been fine with the split. And then you come home, you look great yesterday. Like I said, you played probably your best game of the year. And then tonight you probably play your worst game of the year. And, it just, like I said, it's that bike ride. They're no longer smooth sailing. You can feel the uphill battle. The nice thing about that is, if you're that guy or girl or kid pedaling that bike, you can make it up the hill. You can make it past the rocks. Like I said, the tires aren't flat. But you're going to have to work a little bit harder. It's not panic time, but it's definitely gut check time a little bit for this team. And there's some players that absolutely need to get going. And one of them was on the mound tonight in George Kirby. So let's dive into the box score here. Kirby goes 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks, gives up 3 home runs. Like I said, George Kirby's got to be better. This team wants to go far this year. George Kirby's going to be a big part of that. And so far, it's 2 starts, but so far those 2 starts have produced results that, me or you could produce out on the mound. So got to get better from George Kirby. Jackson Kowar makes his Mariner debut, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Good to see. Kowar is someone that could definitely help this bullpen that I do think needs a little bit of a boost in sort of that non-Munoz, Spire, brash role, someone kind of behind them a little bit. Curious when Bryce Miller gets activated because another roster move will have to be made. Maybe they wait until Logan's back and it's Emerson Hancock. Because that would still give them a 5-man rotation, right? It could be Hancock. We'll see how he pitches tomorrow. Could also be Bizardo DFA'd. It could be the guy that pitched the last 3 innings. Blas Castano makes his MLB debut. 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Not very good, but in a 6-0 game, he ate up 3 innings for you, and that's what that role was meant for. So it's probably him that would go down when Bryce Miller is ready to be activated, which I'm assuming is going to be during the Twins series. Let's look at the offense today. Mariners collect 5 hits, no walks, 4 Ks. Trevor Williams is not good enough to be coming in and going 6 shutout innings with 3 hits on you and no walks. Not taken away from him. I'm not, if you're a Nationals fan watching this, I'm not trying to be insulting. I think you'd probably agree with that. You need to be doing more. The pitching, I think Kirby deserves more of the blame tonight. But the offense has got to be better. And it's really starting to fall back into that 2024 offense, which, listen, again, I'll be clear, that doesn't make it the worst offense in baseball by any means. There's still some guys in here that can provide some pop and do some damage. But, you're also not getting that historical pitching that you got last year when everybody was dialed in. You're not getting that right now. So even more imperative that the offense stay strong, or at least top 12 or something like that, in whatever category, run scored, WRC, whatever you want to use. They need to be more in that range because, like I said, you're not getting the pitching's been better, the starter's been better, excluding tonight, but you aren't getting that dominant historical run that you saw last year out of them. So even more imperative. This could be an easy one. JP 0 for 4. Polanco 0 for 4. His numbers continue to dip. I do wonder if he needs an IL stint or something there because, man, Polanco has been really, really scuffling. And at first it was kind of like, hey, it's been a couple weeks. It happens. Everyone goes through cold streaks. But now feels like it's been pretty much this whole month for Jorge Polanco where it has been just a massive, massive struggle for him. So he's got to find a way to get it turned around because one of the big reasons they were winning early on. Julio 0 for 4, Cal 1 for 4 with a hit, Randy 0 for 3, Rowdy did have a hit 1 for 3, Leote 0 for 3, Miles Mastroboni was 2 for 2, Dylan Moore pinched hit was 0 for 1, and Ben Williamson was 1 for 3. Kudos to Miles Mastroboni. He's the only one that really did anything today, and he had the only hits when the game was still like somewhat in jeopardy and on the line. So, really he was the only hitter that you could say kind of did their job today. Maybe Ben Williamson, I think he had a hit when it was 2-0 as well. So Ben a little bit there too. Yeah, bad all around. As yesterday, like I said, yesterday was, I don't think there was anybody that I didn't give a thumbs up to. I don't think today, maybe outside of Jackson, Kowar, and Mastroboni, there's nobody that doesn't get a thumbs down for today. Tough one tomorrow. Going to be very difficult to win this series. Houston's hot. They're on the verge. Well, no, they did sweep the A's, and they played a 2-game series. They are home against Tampa tomorrow. If they win and you lose, you're out of first place. Doesn't mean you can't get it back, but it's definitely disappointing with how the season's gone. So time to little gut check time for this baseball team. Hope you all have a great night. Hope you all had a better snack than plain Fritos. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, go Mariners. Peace.